Thanks, Evie, and thanks everyone for joining. It's good to see some familiar names on the registration list. Some people I haven't seen in some time, and a lot of new names on there as well. So, welcome to the new shareholders. I know we had some new shareholders join the register over the last week, so I thought it'd be a good idea just to do a quick presentation on the project and provide an overview of the Dante project and the company. And then I'll just run through our most recent exploration update that came out today and talk a little bit more about where things are going in the near term and the upcoming catalysts. So we have a big portfolio, Terra Metals, in West Australia, going across a range of commodities. But by far, our core project is the Dante project. So 90 to almost 100% of our time and energy goes into Dante. That's what we're really focused on. It's our core project. We've made two large discoveries there. Those discoveries we believe, have the potential to contain a large amount of copper, gold, titanium, platinum, and vanadium. And we're in the process of reporting our maiden resource at the Dante project at the moment. And I think what's really compelling about the Dante project is that the scale is really hard to fathom, but the scale is absolutely immense. And we've only drilled about 10% of the strike, which is outcropping at the moment, and already it's looking like it has the potential to deliver a large resource. We're also surrounded by BHP or majors. We've got BHP, Rio Tinto, and Cobalt mining in the area, and we've secured a really large dominant position around the Jemison layered intrusion, which is that green unit there. And just what makes this an exciting piece of geology here, this green mapped unit, is that it's a big layered intrusion. It's quite rare to have these large layered intrusions exposed at the surface. There's several of them in the world. The largest and most well-known one is the Bushveld province in South Africa. And why they're famous is because they tend to produce really extensive bands of layers, which contain a lot of metal, often platinum group metals, gold, copper, nickel, and also vanadium and titanium. So they're very well known for that. The Bushveld province has been in production for over 100 years, and it's one of the most successful and longest running mining provinces in the world. And one of the reasons for that is that these layered intrusions, when they create these bands, they're very extensive. So they tend to go for tens of square kilometers, and they're a lot like a coal seam. And that's what we've discovered at Dante Project. So just a brief question and answer here, really, because some people who invest in mining aren't fully familiar with the early stage of exploration. And, some people often, ask the question, how do mines become mines? And the answer is, not to patronize everyone, but someone's got to find them. And that's what we do. So, we have secured the mineral rights. We've gone out, we've undertaken the research and target selection. We've done the regional exploration. We've done the mapping and rock chipping. We've found targets that look exciting. We've done geophysics. Then we've gone out and drilled. And that drilling has led to a large discovery. Now, it's important to note that it's very rare to make a discovery. Typically, one in every 1,000 targets will lead to a discovery. So once you break through that barrier and you've made a discovery, I suppose the risk reward ratio of the project really changes. And also the project risk. The highest risk is at the early stage where you're in the concept phase. And then after making a discovery, the risk is reduced by the fact that there's something there. There's a deposit there. So the next phase is for us, really, we're working through the discovery. We're going into the resource definition. And then typically the project will progress into feasibility and mining. But what's important to note here is that we have a huge amount of exploration upside on the project. And we're really focused on drilling that out as well and opening up the pipeline of additional targets. So introduction to the capital structure of the project or the company. Tribeca Investment Partners are our largest shareholder. And we've also got Mimo Strategies in there, a significant holding in directors and management. And you can see on the chart there the milestones that have occurred over the last 12 to 18 months with our initial discovery of Reef 1 and Reef 2. And then we've undertaken some excellent metallurgical works, some phase 1 initial metallurgy, which had very, very good results. And most recently, if you haven't seen it, East Coast Research published a research note last week on Terra Metals, and it is up on our website. So if you haven't read that, I encourage you to go and have a look. And if you're time poor, you can just read the first page, which has a good summary. So a summary of the Dante project, what we think is the most compelling features of the project is that it is a large copper critical metal discovery, and it contains a suite of metals that we believe have very good outlook over the next 5 to 10 years. And that includes copper, gold, platinum, vanadium, and titanium. So it's essentially a diversified critical metals portfolio in a single resource that has the potential to make 3 high-grade, high-quality concentrates, high-value concentrates from a single source. The mineralization is very shallow. It is outcropping over 80 kilometers of strike across the project, and it's much like a coal seam. So it's very, very simple exploration. It's very low risk exploration. We simply roll the drill rig up to the outcrop and we drill. And so far, we essentially have not missed. Our strike rate with drilling is very, very high. And one of the beautiful things about these coal seam-like deposits is once you hit them, you can trace them very, very easily over a large area. They're like a mineralized blanket. And so our ability to predict where the ore body is going to be is very high. And for the 60 or 70 kilometers of strike that's outcropping on the project that we haven't drilled, we can have a relatively high level of conviction in those targets because we understand that what sticks out of the ground typically extends for a very, very wide lateral distance beneath the surface. We're in the process of reporting our maiden resource estimate. So we completed a lot of drilling last year, and that's given us enough data to undertake the maiden mineral resource estimate. Our consultants are coming from South Africa this month, and we'll be doing a site visit as a part of the due diligence of completing the initial resource, and we expect to have that out quite soon. So you can see on the map on the right there, it shows the other companies that are around us, and it really highlights, the quality of our land position and the size of our project. We are an island sandwiched amongst BHP, Rio Tinto, and Cobalt Mining. So these are big global diversified miners in the area, and we really have the largest position in the Jemison Lade intrusion. BHP have 2 large resources within 10, 15 kilometers of the Dante project. They are big magmatic sulphide deposits, copper, nickel, platinum, and gold. One is Nebo Babel. It's a $1.7 billion development project, which is in the process of being built. It's about half built now. It's going to have a 12 million ton per annum crusher and a large copper sulphide and nickel sulphide flotation circuits, and it's estimated to produce around 30 to 35,000 tons of copper and 30 to 35,000 tons of nickel in concentrate for a 25 plus year mine life. The Sakooth copper deposit is just 10 k's to the south of us as well. It's 160 million tons, that 0.6% copper. So this province has produced tier 1 resources, and it still remains very underexplored despite that. And we're in the process now of undertaking the first targeted systematic exploration on these outcropping reef layers on the Dante project. So I said mineralization is from surface. That's one of the greatest things about the Dante project. In the Bushveld province, which is probably our closest analog, as I said, they've been mining there for over 100 years. But those reef layers they're mining there are typically underground. They're very thin, so they're 50 centimeters to 2 meters, sometimes even less, sometimes 30 centimeters thick. It is complex underground mining, sometimes very, very deep. The Platte Reef deposit, for example, is 600 meters beneath the surface, and Ivanhoe Mines are currently in the process of building one of the world's largest hoist shafts to get down to that deposit. But what's so compelling about Dante is that this mineralization is outcropping over 80 kilometers of strike on the project. We are hitting mineralization from 0 meters. You can see on the table there, 9 meters at 18.6% titanium, about 0.6 grams per ton precious metals, 0.16% copper, and 0.7% V2O5. So that particular hole is not super high on the copper, but it's from 0 meters. So we're getting that mineralization from surface. You can see that it's very dark, black, heavy mineralization and very dense. So it produces a lot of tons, a higher tonnage than most other rocks because the density is about 4. Average rock is 2.5 to 3. So it's a heavy, dense rock and contains a lot of metal. But you can see some of the other intercepts here, 6 meters at 0.7% copper equivalent, 18.5% titanium, and 0.6% vanadium. So it has a huge amount of high-grade titanium and vanadium in with the copper, gold, and platinum as well. So this is a kind of overview of the focus area of what has been our focus area of the project. Now, I said the project's underexplored. We've really been focused. This is one tenement out of 6 tenements that we have in the area now. And we've really been focused right here, the north end of Reef 1. And see if I can make that a little bit brighter. Let's go with that. So the north end here of Reef 1, that's about 4.5 kilometers. And Reef 2, this is about 6.2 kilometers. So this has been our focus area, but you can see these red lines that are on the map here. They're all mapped outcropping reefs, and this is only probably 30% of the project. But here alone, we're looking at, this is a 10-kilometer focus area, probably 30 or 40 kilometers of outcropping strike. There's 30 plus kilometers of outcropping strike on the eastern part of the Dante project, which we haven't done any drill testing on yet. And then we believe that this extends into our neighboring ground that we've just acquired as well, which I'll talk more about soon. And this 10 kilometers here, Reef 1 North and Reef 2, is the current focus of the maiden mineral resource estimate that we're in the process of reporting. And we don't know if all of this strike is going to be included in that maiden resource, but certainly we believe most of it will be included. And we've just announced today that we've had all the approvals for infill and extensional and resource upgrade drilling as well as testing new targets. And I'll talk about some of those new targets that we've got access to now in some later slides. So this is Reef 1, and just to kind of give people a 3D view of what it looks like, you can see that it is like a mineralized blanket, like I said, like a coal seam. This is an interpretation, a wireframe that we put together from basically stitching together the drill data. We've actually done quite a lot of drilling since this and extended the mineralization out to the north as well. And it's just a very consistent, very easily predictable ore body. You can see that some of the intercepts over on this table here. We've got the basal reef. Now, this dark red area is the highest grade part of the mineral system. This entire hanging wall here is mineralized. So this can be 50 or 60 meters thick. It's lower grade at the top and the highest grade at the bottom. But then we get this upper reef, which we get coming in around here. And this is typically kind of 10 to 15 meters thick. And it's higher grade than the hanging wall. Slightly lower grade than the basal reef, but provides, we think, potential for significant increased tonnage and lower strip ratio. We're anticipating that this upper reef is going to be included in the maiden resource estimate as well. This is Reef 2, so very similar. This is 6.2 kilometers of strike drilled so far. Again, we've done more drilling since this image was put together. And you can see one of the interesting points I'll note here is that it's not just one reef layer. We've had these structures which have come through and they've faulted the rock and they've thrust up layers on top of each other. So we're getting stacked lenses, which means we're getting 3 times, 1, 2, 3 times the amount of mineralization in the same kind of area as opposed to 1. And that's very beneficial for open cut mining and reducing the strip ratio. So we worked very hard last year to progress this deposit quickly, and part of that was undertaking 3,000 meters of diamond drilling following the initial discovery. We raised $6 million, and we put that money into the ground. We did 3,000 meters of diamond drilling to get metallurgical samples so we could undertake our first phase metallurgy and get an idea of, well, you've got all these amazing metals, in this what looks like a very big discovery, but can you get those metals out, and can you do it cheaply, cost effectively, and can you do it using off-the-shelf infrastructure processing tools without using any science fiction. And the initial results we've had have been excellent. We've shown that the Dante reefs can produce 3 very high-grade concentrates with high recoveries using very simple, low-cost processing. It's simply a flotation, a crush, a float, a flotation, and then magnetic separation. And the flotation produces your copper, gold, platinum sulphide concentrate. And we've produced 28% copper, 17 grams per ton gold, and 21 grams platinum. And then very good metal recoveries, over 95% copper recovery and over 70% on the gold and platinum. They're excellent results. If we look at other peer companies like Chalice and other companies doing their initial metallurgy on discoveries, magmatic sulfide discoveries like this is, top class, very, very good result. And these are unoptimized as well. So we're in the process of doing optimization on this now, and quite excited about those results as well, which should be in the process of being reported over the coming weeks. The second concentrate that we make is a high-grade titanium concentrate, 40% titanium with about a 65% recovery. And this is just using magnetic separation. So what's amazing about this is this, we believe, as far as we're aware, is the highest grade titanium concentrate that we've seen globally across any other peer producing company that can be produced using magnetic separation alone. So most companies and operations which want to make a titanium con will use magnetic separation, but they typically can only get a kind of 15 to 20% concentrate using mag sep alone, and then other complicated, more expensive tools are required to get that concentrate up to a higher grade. But that's not the case for Dante. And the third product, which is a byproduct, but certainly not to be undervalued, is a very high grade vanadium concentrate. And what's great about this is it almost literally falls out of the flow sheet for free. It's a byproduct. We float off the copper gold, and then we do magnetic separation to produce the titanium, and what's left is vanadium. But this vanadium concentrate appears to be potentially could be one of the best in the world. 1.8% is very high. It's much higher than the benchmark 1.5% required for salt roasting. It would be top 5 possibly in the world, and potentially the best vanadium concentrate in Australia. And it doesn't cost us anything to produce. So it's very compelling. And this deposit has a huge amount of vanadium in there as well. So as a byproduct, it is a very exciting one. And we think we can get that vanadium concentrate up higher, closer to 2%. We're working on that at the moment. And that would make it potentially top 3, in the world. So this is essentially the summary of what it is. We've got one rock, one deposit, and we split it simply and quite cheaply using simple and cost-effective techniques into 3 high-value concentrates, which can be then either upgraded into downstream products or sold as concentrate. So, as I said, we've really just been focused on the first 2 discoveries, which is Reef 1 and Reef 2 here. You can see when we zoom out over our entire portfolio, which is over 1,000 square kilometers now in this district, that this is a really, really small portion of our overall strike. And we think that 10 kilometers we've been focused on here has the potential to report a significant resource, which we're in the process of reporting now. But what can't be overlooked is the absolutely immense exploration upside across this project. It is really hard to fathom. It is difficult to get your head around, but it is huge. As I said, there's over 80 kilometers of map strike. This project we've just acquired, this HRM ground here, you can see there isn't much outcrop. Most of it's under a little bit of sandy cover. But what you can see is that these magnetic, very, very strong magnetic features clearly extend from these discoveries and these layers into this adjoining ground. So we have a relatively high level of conviction that these magnetic features are going to contain likely other reef layers, and they're representing reefs. Some of them look quite thick. So we're really excited to get out here and drill test some of these. The guys are on the ground. They're doing reconnaissance on this ground right now. And we're also out on the East, Dante East area, which is over here. Now, this is the first time we've really started doing target generation and reconnaissance on Dante East. It in itself is a huge project area. It's over 400 square kilometers, contains lots of outcropping reef. We think there's potentially a lot more reef mineralization undercover as well, based on the interferomagnetics. So the resource potential and just new discovery potential here is very, very high. We think that for an exploration play, the risk of new discovery is quite low because of the nature of this type of mineralization and how easily it can be tracked. Sorry, one other thing I'll just mention on this is that we've been focused primarily on the reefs. We haven't drilled any EM anomalies yet, but we do have a huge amount of EM anomalies on this project. All those yellow dots are electromagnetic anomalies. They could represent more massive sulphide style mineralization. And we will commence testing some of those EM anomalies in some of the upcoming drilling as well, which we're excited about. So we have really great traditional owners out in this area. What's fantastic about the Dante project and the whole region in West Musgrave is the Ngundarra people are very nice people, very commercial people. They have approved multiple mining agreements out there already as one group in the entire area. So it's very quite a simple process there, I suppose, when it comes to engagement and who you're dealing with. And we work very closely with the community on the project. So that's it. In summary, we're strategically located in a tier one mining jurisdiction. There are tier one resources there already, some which are in progressing toward production, and mine builds have already started. BHP have invested probably $3 billion Australian into the West Musgrave asset there so far, including the mine build and the project acquisition in scrip from Oz Minerals. The Dante project has two really large discoveries and potential for multiple new discoveries, we think, with upcoming drilling. The metallurgy has shown that the Dante reefs have excellent processing behavior, I suppose, and can produce 3 high-grade concentrates with excellent recoveries using low-cost processing tools. We think that over time, this could be one of the biggest resources, or Dante could host one of the biggest resources in the world of its kind, near surface. So we're excited to drill out that exploration upside. And there's a huge amount of exploration upside here to unlock with future drilling. And that's it for the presentation. I'll just really briefly go through this because that went a little bit longer than planned, but we put this out today. This is an update on our exploration. We basically unlocked approvals for a wide range of new targets, including infill and extensional drilling on the Dante Reef 1 and 2 discoveries, and also some new reefs which are outcropping that have never been drilled, and some high priority EM anomalies as well. So the guys are really excited to get out there on the ground again and start progressing these targets, and we're keen to get back out there and start drilling again soon. Thanks, Evie. I'll pass over to you.
There have been a couple of questions that have come through during that presentation. You could probably answer this one's a couple of questions in one. When you talk about the Dante project and how big the potential could be, is it too large for a junior company? If not, please elaborate. If so, do you expect to monetize the asset in the medium to long term?
So a few questions in one. Let me just go back to the map. Yes, it is large. Is it too large for a junior? No, I don't think so. What we've done is a process of regional consolidation, very, very low cost consolidation, acquiring our neighbors and the prospective ground to build a portfolio which is attractive to a company of any size, including global diversified miners. There are several global diversified miners in the area surrounding us at the moment. But what's beautiful about the Dante project, despite the scale, is that the cost of discovery is very low. So these reefs, say most of them outcrop for about 7 to 10 kilometers each. All we have to do is drill 1 or 2 holes in one of those reefs. And if that hole shows mineralization, we know we've made another major discovery. So the cost is very low. It's outcropping. Shallow RC drilling is sufficient. We don't need lots of holes. If we want to convert something into a resource, the spacing and amount of drilling that's required is very low compared to conventional mineralization styles, because it's like a coal seam. It's very consistent. if we want to upgrade our resource into higher categories, that cost is also very low. So big project, big resource potential, low cost of exploration compared to most other types, mineralization styles.
Just another question that came through. Can you give us a picture of where you see the company in the next 12 to 18 months? When we've got a compelling research note that's come out, which I thought was a fantastic read. We'll have an MRE in our hand. What else can you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's happening now is Terra is transitioning from an exploration company into a development company. We're stepping into that next phase. We will have a resource under our belt, so it won't just be a pure exploration play. And we're really focused on showing that there's a really large resource out at the Dante Project, improving the economics of that. And we're also focused on making new discoveries across the project to ensure that we can unlock the additional upside, of which we think is huge. We think the upside far outweighs even what we found so far. So, we would hope that in 12 months we have essentially made some additional discoveries and expanded our initial resource materially, and continuing to prove that the robust economics of the project and scale of the project and long mine life potential at the Dante project.
Okay, and just on BHP, we know that they've sunk three billion into that project, and they've paused the development of it for now. Um, and they've actually done quite a bit of development there. I'm sure from some of the photos that I've seen, because I'm ex-Cassini as well, and I've seen them from
Yep.
Richard. He's kindly shared them with me. So it's on ice. Do you know what their strategy is, and what the purpose of them putting it on suspension?
Yeah, so it's primarily a nickel asset, right? So BHP acquired Oz Minerals. My understanding is they paid 2 billion Australian in scrip for the West Musgrave asset. They put about a billion Australian into building the mine in over a 12-month period. Nickel price crashed. West Musgrave was part of BHP's Nickel West portfolio. They decided to put the Nickel West portfolio on care and maintenance. That included the West Musgrave asset, and they intend to review that in 2027. But I suppose it's going to be driven by the nickel price. It could also be driven by other discoveries and resources which are defined nearby. As you know, our project is not a nickel asset. It is a copper asset primarily, and copper, gold, platinum asset with vanadium and titanium. It doesn't really contain any nickel. So other discoveries and large resources defined around this processing hub could be a significant factor in BHP's decision to continue to progress the build, or perhaps start early. I can't speak for them, but perhaps recommence early the further development of that. But also a recovery of the nickel price would almost certainly be a key factor there as well. So at the moment, it's still on care and maintenance. There is still a presence out there. It is a substantial infrastructure. Substantial amount of infrastructure has been put in. Most people would be surprised to actually see what is there, and I can't see it. I can't see them walking away from it, from
No,
that investment.
and let's not forget that Nebo Babel is almost on par nickel copper. So yeah, let's see. Keep our eyes peeled on what happens there.